Oh goodness, I don't think I've ever talked about this. Your spouse cannot read your mind, and it wrecked me. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Emma. I am really excited for today's video, you guys. I think it's gonna be a good one. I hope it is at least. I am doing kind of a reverse Q&A today. So I'm going to be giving you my very honest life advice about things that you guys sent me over on my Instagram, which is also Elementary with Emma. So if you don't follow me there, then you missed out. So make sure you go follow me on Instagram. And also while we're talking about it, if you're not subscribed, make sure you subscribe down below for all my future videos. This summer I'm uploading twice a week, so don't miss out. Basically, I just wanted this video to feel like we were sitting down as friends, having a cup of coffee together, and you were asking me for some life advice, and I'm just gonna give you my very honest and raw advice. This was inspired by the podcasts that I really love to listen to, which are What We Said and But What's Next. And both of them do like a monthly advice column where people will send in their like submissions for things that are going on in their life that they need some advice over. I don't know why I love those episodes so much, but I do. And it inspired me to kind of make a YouTube video version of that. I think I'm just nosy. I'm just gonna jump right into it because Jordan is down for a nap. If you're new here, I have a 6-month-old baby girl. You never know how long a baby's gonna nap. So we're just gonna jump right into it. I've not read through these yet, so I'm just scrolling. Also, just a disclaimer before we get started, it's okay if you don't love my advice. I'm just putting it out there. If you don't like the advice, you don't have to take it. That's what this video is for. I'm here to be honest with you. Just friend to friend. Okay, so the first one I just saw is, how do you know when you're ready for a baby? I know you'll never be ready, but how do you know when the time is as right as possible? Okay, well, you kind of answered your own question because you said, I know you'll never really be ready. That's kind of my answer. You're never really like 110% ready. Like, I didn't wake up one morning and go, today's the day. I'm ready to have a baby. Like, let's go. I feel like I had a kind of checklist of things that I really wanted to accomplish before we started having kids. So I really wanted, obviously, to be married. And then I really wanted us to both have graduated college because I was still in college. We were both still in college actually when we got married. So I really wanted us to both graduate college. The next thing on my list was I really wanted us to both get full-time jobs that we really loved, that were very stable and consistent, and like work those for a little bit of time so we could build up a good savings account and just have good, stable, like full-time adult incomes, not college student salaries. And then I also really wanted us to buy a house before we had a baby. I did not want to have a baby in our apartment or our townhome that we lived in before. And we did all of those things. And then honestly, when we lost our first baby, it really made me realize how ready I was and how like I truly longed to be a mom and truly longed to have a baby. And so that's kind of what like threw us into, okay, we're ready to have children. Praying that that's not the circumstances for you, but the little bit of type A in me wanted to get all those boxes checked, and I truly don't think there's anything wrong with that. Think about what it would look like if you had a baby 9 months from today. You know, how would that change your life, and are you ready for that change? That's just kind of my experience with that. I'm graduating next May, and I really don't want to stay in my hometown to teach. I'm feeling a bit suffocated here, but moving is expensive. It's hard finding a place to rent after student teaching and not having a job to make the income required to rent. If I stayed, I could live at home for my first year with my family, but I'm craving finding community of my own. Okay, I don't have a bunch of experience with moving away because I've lived in the same town my whole life, and you might be like, of course you have. Okay, but I like where we live, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I will say, as soon as I started college, I did not live at home. Like, I lived in the dorms my first year, and then the rest of college I lived with roommates, and then my last year of college I got married. And so I will say, I think that I didn't feel suffocated because I wasn't with my family. I don't think you said where you live right now, but if you're still living at home and you never left home, that might be your solution, is to just find a place to rent in your hometown. You did say the income thing, which that does stink. Also, nothing is forever. Like, you could start your first year, get a couple months of salary, and then you could get an apartment in your hometown. Now, if you really want to get out of your hometown, then I say you just do it. Build up a savings, work during the summer. If you really, really want to go, then get a job during student teaching. A lot of people do that at nights. I just think If you're living at home right now, that's probably a lot of the reason you're feeling very suffocated, because you feel like you're an adult, you're starting your full-time job, but you're still living at home under your parents' roof, and you don't have your own space and you don't have your own community. Like, that, I think, is your problem more. And I don't know you very well, so I could be totally off, more so than the exact town that you live in. And maybe you have a really small town and you do need to get out. And if that's true, then do it. I don't know if that was really helpful. It probably wasn't, but that's just, I don't know, that's a tough one. I'm patiently and anxiously awaiting my first ever teaching job, being a recent graduate this May. I have set out many online applications and have yet to hear back from anyone. Any tips or strategies for moving forward? This is hard because it kind of depends on, you know, are you in a super overpopulated big city? Are you in a smaller town? I think that's gonna affect like how much they communicate with each candidate. I would say you need to do something to make yourself stand out, whether that's go and try to meet the principal or see if you can give them a call or send them a follow-up email. For a really long time, I was really worried about being annoying. I didn't want to pester anybody. I didn't want to be annoying. I didn't want to overdo it. But here's the deal. Who cares? If you're showing them that you really want this job and you're not really letting them forget about you, that may help you. But you got to be proactive. But also, and I know this is not helpful to hear in the moment, the right job will find you no matter what. If you aren't getting a job, it's because it's not for you and you don't want it anyway. If admin is not good at communicating with teachers, that's not an admin you want to work for anyway. So the right position will come to you, and if that means you need to sub for a little bit, you never know what door could open from you subbing and getting your foot in the door at multiple schools, hearing about jobs that may open mid-year for the first time. Best marriage advice for a bride-to-be. I also got a lot of questions, which is interesting to me, about wedding advice, and then I got some marriage advice. Okay, so let's just talk about this for a second. I feel like we really focus on being a bride and our big day and making sure everything's perfect and wedding planning. And here's the deal. Do I love my wedding day? Yes, I do. That is a blip in Michael and I's marriage. Like, that is something, honestly, I rarely even think about it because that is when our marriage started, but that's not what really truly matters. And there's nothing wrong with being excited for your wedding, okay? That's not what I'm saying, because it's such a fun day and it's the day that you've been waiting for since you were a little girl. I literally dreamed of my wedding my whole life, but it puts a lot of pressure and expectation on one day. That's just a day. What I feel like we should put the focus on and the work into is the marriage that comes after that. Like, I think we should talk more about what it means to have a healthy marriage, what it means to serve your spouse, rather than what dress am I gonna wear, or how am I gonna do my nails, or what do the flowers look like. Let's talk about communication. Let's talk about boundaries. So anyways, not to go on a tangent, but I just think if you're, I guess that's my advice for brides and people who are working on a wedding or, you know, thinking about getting engaged soon. Don't put all of your energy on the wedding. I know it's exciting, and I'm not saying that you're not allowed to be excited. You should be. However, think about, like, what do I want to be as a wife? How can my fiance and I be preparing to be married? Like, in terms of like marriage advice though, I feel like I've learned so much in our few years of marriage. We've been married 3.5 years, so not like a crazy long time, but we have learned and changed so much in the last 3.5 years. It's actually crazy. One, your spouse cannot read your mind. You may think like, oh, I just want them to do this without me having to ask. Or I wish they would do this, but I don't want to have to ask them for it. I just wish they would do it. You have to communicate what you need and what would be helpful for you. And then if they say no, or like they still don't do anything, then it's okay to be like, hey, I'm kind of getting frustrated that you're not doing this that I asked you to do today, or whatever. But I think we just put this expectation of, I want you to do this, but I don't want to ask you to do it. But then how do they know you want them to do it? Even in things that you think you should not have to verbally say, you do. And then I'll say one more thing that I feel like I've learned. If you are frustrated or you feel like you're needing something from your spouse, the best thing that you can do is reflect on yourself. Like, for example, our love languages are very different. So highly recommend, if you don't know your love language or your partner's love language, figuring that out and seeing how you can serve each other in that. My love language is words of affirmation and his are acts of service. So if I ever am feeling like he is not meeting my love language, I have found that the most effective way to solve that problem is for me to stop and reflect on myself and see if I'm even meeting his love language. Am I giving him acts of service? Am I doing things to show him that I love him and that I care about him? him? And usually the answer is no. And I found that when, instead of me even saying anything, if I just kick myself into gear a little bit and reflect and fix some things and do better for him, he usually, without even realizing it, will start to do better for me. That has really changed the game when I have kind of viewed it that way, rather than, you should give me this, I deserve this, give me this, give me this. Like, what can you do for them? Kind of like the serving each other attitude. I don't know if that made sense, you guys. I've had a lot of this today. This one makes me cringe a little bit. How to cut off or take away time from a friendship kindly and without causing drama. I don't even know if I can give you great advice because I am not confrontational, and so my go-to is just to kind of like retract slowly. Eventually, it just kind of fizzles out. I just slowly start to fizzle it out. You don't have to be mean about it. Oh, I start high school this year and I want to know, is it as scary as it seems at first? I think every single person feels that way when they're going to high school. Every transition in life is going to be scary. That doesn't mean it's going to be bad. Change is just a lot. But high school is so much fun if you make it fun. And truthfully, like, your freshman year is just about figuring out what the heck you're doing. It's just a very transformational year. Like, when I look back at me freshman year of high school, wow, I feel like I did a total 180 as a person. My personality, the people I hung out with. Then I think sophomore year, I had found the good influences, my good friends, found kind of who I wanted to hang out with. I started dating Michael by sophomore year. I felt like I kind of knew who I was a little bit more and what my values and morals were. And so just go into it knowing that freshman year is very much just a transformational year. It's good for you. Like, if I hadn't have gone through all the things I went through freshman year, I wouldn't have probably, met my best friend, and I probably wouldn't have started dating my husband. And it might be a little bit scary at first, but it'll be good. I'm having trouble talking to parents that may underestimate you. And this is like from a teacher perspective. So my first year had phenomenal parents. And this last year, I didn't have bad parents. I just kind of felt like I was talking to a wall. Like, I never really got any responses. I had a couple parents that were just not very kind, and that was really hard for me, especially after my first year when I had such a great experience with parent communication. This year was very different. Here's what I had to learn. They don't know you. They don't sit in the back of your room and watch the way that you teach, the way that you love these kids. They don't see you outside of the classroom. They have no idea who you are. All that they see is an email of you. Honestly, their opinion literally doesn't matter. You know that you are doing what's best for their kid. You know that you are a good teacher, and that's all that you can do. I think about the parents that I maybe got sassy emails from. I don't know them very well. I don't know their personal life. I don't even really know what they do for a living. Like, I don't know them personally. And it's the same, vice versa. They don't know you personally, and so you can't take it personally. It's just one of those things that I learned this year is not worth my energy. Ooh, how to be joyful in your season of waiting. Oh goodness. This is something I've truly struggled with my entire life, is just waiting for the next thing and feeling very discontent with the season that I'm in, no matter what that season has looked like. I am constantly looking ahead. Even though I am in the season that I prayed for so long, I always feel like I'm in a season of waiting. And I think sometimes that's our mentality. Not that the Lord doesn't make us wait, but I think sometimes we say, oh, I'm in a season of waiting, when really, I think you're just in a normal season and you're supposed to just enjoy where you're at, rather than constantly feeling like there's this bigger, better thing in the future, and right now you're just waiting for it. The Lord wants me present here. The Lord wants me to make the most out of my days now. This is where He's placed me right now. I don't need to worry about what's coming next or what I'm waiting for, because I don't need to be waiting for anything. I need to be living my life. I'm not trying to be aggressive or call you out. I'm kind of talking to myself here too, but that's just kind of like the epiphany that I've had, is sometimes I feel like the season of waiting is just me giving an excuse to be discontent with where I'm at. Any advice for accepting your new or changed body? I talked about this actually in a recent vlog. I'll link it above. It was my first week of summer vlog, and I got rid of a bunch of my clothes that didn't fit me anymore, and I talked about how I was kind of struggling with my postpartum body, and so I feel like this is a very relevant topic to me right now. And I don't know if you're postpartum or if your body is just changed, as our bodies do all the time. Realistically, our bodies change in every season of our life, because the way that I look now is totally different than the way I looked a year ago or 5 years ago or 10 years ago. And that doesn't mean that it looks worse or that I've gone downhill. It means that I've lived life and I've lived in a bunch of different seasons. How to keep my spirits up when I'm struggling to conceive and others are announcing pregnancies. I think I got another question about this, or about, oh my gosh, there's so many. Oh my gosh, there's so many submissions, you guys. Oh, I haven't even made a dent. I haven't looked at these yet, and there's so many. I'm gonna have to do a part 2, you guys. Oh my gosh, there's so many good ones. Okay, well, there's too many for me to find the one I was thinking of that I thought I saw before, but we didn't try for like an extended period of time, but it didn't happen on the first try. So it was like 4 months, which is not very long, but 4 months when you are obsessing every single day like I was, it felt like 4 years. When I look back and I say it was only 4 months, truthfully in my mind, it felt like so much longer than 4 months. And I cannot imagine trying for years and years like I know people have. So first of all, I just want to validate whether you've been trying for a couple months, a couple years, 10 years, your pain is valid. In those 4 months, I saw multiple pregnancy announcements that crushed me. I remember specifically I saw a pregnancy announcement from a friend of mine, actually, like within days of losing our first baby, and that I will never forget the feeling when I saw that. That was the first pregnancy announcement I ever saw after the loss, and it wrecked me. Every pregnancy announcement after that really stung. And I would say if it's something that's truthfully really affecting your mental health, there is nothing wrong with unplugging from social media, because other people are not responsible for my triggers. And something that I needed to do to protect my peace sometimes was stay off of social media. Or if there were friends of mine that were pregnant, I had to mute a couple people for a little bit until I felt more sound, and they didn't know they were muted, but it helped my mental health so much. But I just want to validate you that that is so painful, and I don't even care how long you've been trying, if it's a month or a year, that it sucks. And I'm so sorry that you have felt that pain of clicking Facebook or clicking Instagram and seeing an announcement and your heart just dropping into your stomach. I know exactly what that feels like, and I'm sorry. And I just want to say that it sucks, and I'm sorry. Okay, I think that this might be my last one. Oh my gosh, there are so many more, you guys, that I want to answer, but Jordan's gonna wake up in like 5 minutes. I don't think I've ever talked about this. Struggling with breastfeeding. How did you know what formula to start and when to start? I breastfed Jordan for the first couple months of her life, but now we formula feed, which I have talked about, like the formula shortage. So I show me making her formula bottles. So like you probably have gathered that I don't breastfeed her, but I've never explicitly said I stopped breastfeeding. I do not breastfeed Jordan because it's something that I was very anxious about and not something I wanted to publicize. But now I'm feeling confident enough to share and talk about it more. We had a really hard time breastfeeding because when she was born, we had a lot of complications with her birth, and she was not gaining a lot of weight, and so they had to supplement her with formula in a bottle like her first week of life. And I could be totally wrong, but I really think that this, I don't want to say screwed us, because it's what Jordan needed to be healthy, and so I will never regret it. But she learned that formula tasted really delicious, and she learned that drinking from a bottle was way easier than breastfeeding. And so then she started to prefer a bottle. It was just very frustrating because breastfeeding is such an exhausting job, and it might be free, but it is not free. As the weeks went on, she was drinking more from a bottle than she was from me. By the end of our breastfeeding journey, I was pretty much exclusively pumping. I hated it. At that point, I kind of made the decision for me. She was taking a bottle anyway, so it still makes me sad. Like, I still mourn the fact that I didn't get to exclusively breastfeed her like I wanted to, but we did our best. And I think you kind of know, like, I knew for a while that I wanted to stop, and once I was done, I just felt so free, even though, like I said, I still mourn it. Like, I cried so many tears over it, and I was so sad about it, and I'm still sad about it. And I already have like a whole game plan for our next kid because I want to do better and I want to try different things. But in terms of knowing like which formula to try We started with the formula that we had supplemented in the very first week of her life, like I had said. It was Similac Pro Advanced, but she was fussy. So then we moved her to Similac Sensitive, and that worked a lot better for her. She was a lot happier. Then the Similac recall happened, and then the formula shortage happened. So we tried the generic version of Enfamil Gentilese, and that's what she's currently on, is the generic version of that. So that has worked for us. I think it's just a lot of trial and error. And we also got recommendations and samples from her doctor. But I just want to say, no matter what decision you make, whether you decide to exclusively breastfeed for 2 years or formula feed from day one or do a mix of both or exclusively pump, you are not any better or worse depending on how you feed your baby. I think especially right now with a formula shortage. So I just want to validate you if you're there too, not to make this about me because this is a video about y'all, but it is okay whatever you decide to do. It really is. Your baby is not going to grow up any different if they are breastfed or formula fed. Do you have any idea if as a baby I was breastfed or formula fed? No, you don't. That's that on that. I feel like I could go on a real tangent there, but I won't. So I hope that you enjoyed. I really want to film a part 2 because you guys, this is how far I got. Look how many more I didn't get to. Are you kidding me? Also, leave me any other sit down video requests you want to see of me just sitting down, coffee chat. Thank you so much for being here and for watching it all the way to the end. If you made it to the end, comment when you found my YouTube channel. That's what I want to know. Make sure you subscribe down below if you are not already so you don't miss all of my vlogs. Thank you for supporting me. I appreciate you so much, and I will see you in my next video. Bye, friends.